Yes, this is going to be a hot stretch. It's not 1 day or 2 days, but we're going on at least well over a week at this point. And it always takes your body at least a week or two to get acclimated to that heat. Generally, we do that in the month of May. Well, we've sort of jumped the shark and gone straight into summer here. So this is the most important thing. Make sure that you're making sure that you are staying hydrated throughout the day, not just once or twice, but all throughout the day. Breaks if you're outside for sure. Seeing a lot of the construction crews trying to find some shade. That's one idea. And then, of course, the light clothing. And don't forget the pets either. That's always important. We'll talk more about that in a second. But there's two different major categories of heat danger we want to talk about. One's called heat exhaustion. This is the more common of the two. And then there's heat stroke. This is the one that's more medically dangerous, and I'll explain why. You feel faint or a little dizzy. That happens sometimes, especially if you're dehydrated out in the sunshine and you get to a point where it's a throbbing headache. That's a little more serious. Excessive sweating. The big difference here is that when the sweating stops, that means your cooling system in your body is starting to shut down. So just like if your AC wasn't working at home, it's going to heat up real quick. Your body will do the same thing, and that's where you get that red hot dry skin versus kind of the cool and clammy skin. Obviously, you see the big difference between the two of these, and that's when we lead to some more crucial information here as well, including a rapid weak pulse, strong pulse, meaning that the body is trying to overcompensate for that lack of cooling, and that's when the muscle cramps start for heat danger, for heat exhaustion. That's best when you just get inside. Certainly some Gatorade or those electrolyte drinks are always real good to help that as well. Meanwhile, when people can lose consciousness, this is when it really becomes a 911 issue at that point. So you see the big difference between these two. As we mentioned, it only takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the body temperature to go well above 106 to 108 degrees. And that's when it doesn't cool and it can't cool itself. And that's at the point where you need to call 911. Now, what's the difference if you're looking at these symptoms? Well, the biggest thing for folks that are experiencing this heat exhaustion is to get into a cool air-conditioned place. Can't stress that enough. Make sure they've got water if they're conscious. Don't if they're unconscious. Always call 911. And then a cool shower or even a compress, a cooling towel, something like that on the temples and even on the inside of the wrists as well. And not only that, don't forget the pets. This is one of the things we were talking about earlier as well. If it's 90 degrees outside, the concrete and asphalt are anywhere from 125 to 145 degrees, and that can be within less than an hour. Good rule of thumb, as Frank mentioned a bit ago earlier this afternoon, if you can put your hand down and you can't hold it for 7 seconds on that asphalt or concrete, it's too hot for them as well.